So I don't know where to even begin with. I had just had the most amazing, surreal experience at Mar-a-Lago last night. Just surreal. I was there to help raise money for Prager University and Dennis Prager, who, by the way, let me give you an update on him. He was severely injured. He fell in the shower, hit his head, and it snapped his neck back, and he has injuries to his neck. And he is making progress, and only Dennis would be as positive. I mean, somehow or another, he's still like, I'm doing great. And it's going to be a long process to get him back. But he wasn't able to breathe on his own, but that is over, and he spoke for the first time here last couple of days. So, and he's fully there. His body just isn't working, but he has a long road, but he is doing better, and believe me, he appreciates and can feel your prayers. He obviously wasn't there last night, but he's still in the hospital. So we were there raising money for PragerU, they're just doing amazing things. If you want to give for education, what they're doing now on education and PragerU and the impact that they're having is incredible, just incredible. Dennis Prager, Rush Limbaugh, when my generation and maybe the generation, after me, when we'd go, people will remember Rush Limbaugh if they read about the history of, people who made some impact. But even Rush Limbaugh, for as important and as legendary and as game-changing as he was, will eventually be forgotten. I don't think Dennis Prager will, because of Prager University. That thing is making a huge impact and well worth your support. And it would, I think, make Dennis feel a lot better knowing that they raised a lot of money last night and they really need your help. They have huge plans. Just go to dennisprager.org. It's prageruniversity.org. And if you have some money that you would like to invest in the future, it's a great place to invest. So I get to Mar-a-Lago, and I have a few minutes with the president, and I ask him, what the hell is going on with South Korea, North Korea, China, Syria, Ukraine, Russia? He is laser focused on this. And again, he reiterated to me the nuclear proliferation that is coming is going to be our biggest problem. He said we had Iran absolutely crippled. He said, I hope we can get them there quickly. He said, but nukes are up for sale now. North Korea has them, and he said, I don't have any, evidence that they've sold them, but they are up for sale. And he said, proliferation of nukes are coming, and Russia is still the biggest threat. I asked him, I just want to be really careful because it was just a personal conversation. But I asked him about the next 40-some days. I said, I'm very concerned that Biden, or whoever is the president of the United States right now, the military-industrial complex, Barack Obama, I don't know who it is, wants war. And he didn't get into who was the president or anything else. He just said, this man is so incompetent. He said he has absolutely no idea the history of even Ukraine, let alone Russia. He said this should never have happened. And he said it is a meat grinder. He said when this is all over and the world can see what's happened, he said North Korea, I asked him about the North Korean fighters. I said, are they good? He's like, Glenn, it's a country of 5 million soldiers. He's like, it's a religion over there. Their state is the religion. Their supreme leader, Kim Jong-un, is like their God. If he says you're going to war and you're going to fight and you're die, he said 5 million, and they'll just keep coming. And he said, the way he described it to me is, it almost sounds like colonial days when everybody was just in a line, and then, like, okay, we want to be fair. We're going to wear the red coat so you can see where to aim. We're just going to stand in a big line. I got the impression that that's almost how North Korea, they have so many people that wave after wave is coming. And he said, there's no respect for life. None. He said, it's unlike anything the modern world has seen in a long time. He said, I don't remember exactly how he said it, but basically, they don't even have tourniquets. He said, if the guys are shot in the legs, they bleed to death, and people are just walking over them. He said, you're wounded, you die. There's no medics coming for you. You just die because they got plenty of soldiers behind you. And he said, it is bloodshed like the world cannot imagine. And I asked him, I said, I think everybody wants peace. And he said, I think so too. And he kind of hedged at least this is my impression, my impression is we are going to pay a very, very high price with Putin because we have violated every single red line with Vladimir Putin. Everything he said, don't do, we've done. And I personally think, this is my opinion, I didn't express this to the president, but I personally think, one, they want war. I don't know who they is, the military-industrial complex, the Biden family to wipe out the corruption. Ukraine is nothing but a money laundering system. That's all it is. It's money being laundered. I don't know where it's going. Why isn't anyone concerned on how much money we're sending over? All these weapons, they're being sold on the black market to our enemies. What the hell is happening? Why is this happening? And so my personal opinion is either they're trying to wipe out, remember, the Hunter Biden thing is for 10 years for crimes that he's never even been accused of. Statute of limitations runs out in 5 years on most things except for like murder, human trafficking, treason, things like that. But he's been, never before in American history has this ever happened. Never before. A blanket pardon for anything he did from 2014. Gee, when did he go over to Ukraine? 2014. And so I don't know if they're just trying to buy their way out of trouble. They want a war to destroy all of any evidence or anybody involved. I don't know. But somebody wants war. And it might just be the military-industrial complex just saying, we really need to upgrade our military, so let's just give them all this old stuff and we'll make new stuff for you, America. Could be that. Could be the State Department. The State Department, and I won't give you his response, but I said, you realize you have the opportunity, because we did talk about how these endless wars are just insane. And I said, it's the State Department. And you can stop that nonsense. You can just fire them all and get people in here who don't think the same way Woodrow Wilson did over 100 years ago. He's very well aware of that. And things are going to change. Everything we talked about, he was laser focused. I mean, I've met with presidents before. I've I met with Ronald Reagan. I met with George H.W. Bush. I met with George W. Bush. And I met with Donald Trump. I have more confidence in Donald Trump now than any other president I've met with. The guy is super, super informed. It is a blessing, honestly. It is a miracle that he lost in 2020. And I say that, you listen to this show, you remember what I was saying. We're all doomed. We're all going to die, okay? The country is over if we don't correct this in 4 years. We would not have had this president, the man he is today, if it wasn't for his loss in 2020. He had 4 years to go, okay, what did I do wrong? How did they get me? How did they thwart me? How do I stop it? And how do I reverse this machine while dismantling this machine? He is laser focused on that. And if he said it once to me, he said it 1,000 times. Glenn, it's going to be breathtaking. It's coming. Change is coming, and it is coming fast. They are not going to know how to deal with it. I'm filled with confidence. And again, I say this with the caveat that, the left will never say, but I say this with a caveat that I would say on any president. As long as he's constitutional, as long as he's following the Constitution and the laws, he's going to be remembered as one of the greatest presidents of all time, because he's at least going to give it a college try. I mean, he's going for it. We talked about his appointments and what he had planned. Everything that's happening is happening because America vacated the leadership role. I hope Americans realize, without the consequences, at least so far, how close we are to seeing what happens to the world if America leaves the world stage. And I don't want to be the world's policeman. I don't want to be involved in foreign wars. The president doesn't want to be involved in foreign wars. He wants to end them. He wants us to concentrate on us, but somebody has to be there to say, knock it off. And he's the guy, he's already doing that. We had some conversations he has recently, and the world is being put on notice. I'm back very soon. You might want to change your behavior because everything you have been doing is not going to happen anymore. I wish I could express the things that he expressed to me, because you would be so excited. You would be like, oh my gosh, this is fantastic.
Isn't this sort of hopeful about the whole, Russia nuclear war type of stuff too? Like, why would Vladimir Putin, with, 8 weeks left, start what winds up being a nuclear war when he's got somebody who's going to be a lot more sane in office just a few weeks away?
So, because this is my impression, because he's being backed into a corner by Joe Biden.
Yeah.
Every red line. He does not want to do it, but he's getting pressure from the hardliners in his country,
right?
To use just even tactical nukes, which we don't know what that would cause. Okay.
Yeah.
And what our response would be to if he drops a tactical nuke, Joe Biden will launch. He'll just launch. He will.
But I mean, that's a massive step to a tactical nuke. I mean, that is like, God,
no,
it'll be a massive thing. Why would he do that, knowing that this whole situation changes?
Again, things are so dynamic. Look at what's happening. I wish I could get the president on the phone to just have the conversation. He explained it so well.
Sure.
Look what's happening with Turkey, with Syria, with Iran, Ukraine, Russia, North Korea, China, and South Korea. They're not disconnected. Okay?
Yeah.
They're all connected to each other. And he is confident that the Middle East will be solved. He's like, we'll get the Abrahamic Accords back. They've dealt with me before in the Middle East. they know. He said everything else around the world is so on the edge. He was really pissed. He was like, none of this, I just like to remind you, none of this was happening 4 years ago. He said this is all because of incompetence, stupidity, and a complete misunderstanding of how the world works. And he again reiterated, nuclear war is, I mean, every time I see him, and he must have said it 3 times last night, nuclear war is real, and it is end game changing. And he said, at all costs, we have to avoid that.